Hello and welcome back to the history of true crime. Just kidding, that's not my real voice. On the run since 1993, can you imagine? Matteo Messina Denaro is believed to be the Don that took over as the head of the Sicilian mafia after the capture of Bernardo Provenzano in 2006. Finally captured, having checked himself into a private clinic for an undisclosed illness. Maybe all the killing got to his head. Maybe he had a sore finger from all the trigger pulling. Or maybe, like most of us, he's just getting old and things aren't working as they once used to. This is the story of how one man in Sicilia's Cosa Nostra, Italy's most virulent and aggressive organised crime group, initiated himself at the top of the gang before going into hiding for almost half of his life, and finally, as of yesterday, was captured and arrested by police in Palermo. Italy's organised crime rate goes as far back as the 1800s, where the region's feudal barons owned massive and luxurious estates around the country. Until, that is, the rule of the primogenita became abolished. This is the tradition where the eldest or the firstborn child is passed down the estate from the parent. The breakdown of this ritual meant that more peasants and normal people, or what we would now call the middle class, had access to bigger housing such as villas and estates throughout Italy. But with great doorways come great responsibilities. Where the barons and lords had the money to keep their land protected and secure from break-ins and thieves, the new wave of owners couldn't afford to do the same. The police, famously inept in the south of Italy, and already at a disadvantage, did not have enough manpower to protect and guard every single villa on the largest island in the Mediterranean. So what did people do? They got creative. After the end of the war, southern Italy became a place ripe for opportunity and business, mostly lemons, and people with their heads screwed on, even if a little wonkily, started offering the services of a guard for hire. This worked because of the wonderful loophole we call no polizia. With a serious lack of law enforcement presence in the region and the rise of private thugs, people realised that those with most of the authority and respect were the ones in the organised crime groups. And that's a brief intro into how a group like the Cosa Nostra came into being. Let's move on to Matteo before we get distracted with all the Giuseppes and Gennaros throughout history. I'd love to tell you where Diabolic, as they called him, went to school and what his favourite toy car was, but for reasons I don't need to mention, there isn't all that much information about the most recent head of the biggest mafia group in Italy. But let me tell you this. Like the primogenitas rule, Matteo grew up around mafiosi, his dad acting as a guard for some of the biggest families in the region. And he too started out just as a bodyguard. Although he got his promotion pretty quick, moving from security guard to actual Daniel Craig-style hired killer for the Dali family. So Matteo started out young, getting into work pretty early, and I don't mean he got a job at the local Tesco's before he was 16. I mean that by the age of 14 he already knew how to wrangle a gun and committed his first murder at age 18. Employee of the month goes to you, Teo. In the 90s, when the Italian Carabinieri were apparently stepping up their efforts to eradicate the illegal crime rings, Matteo murdered the two head anti-mafia prosecutors, Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino. As well as bombings in Milan, Rome and Florence, God, I really hope he stopped off for a bistecca alla Fiorentina, he is also rumoured to have kidnapped and tortured the 11-year-old son of a mafia witness. No exceptions for kids then. Also, according to his brother, 12-year-old Giuseppe Di Matteo was also kidnapped in a blackmail plan to stop his father from testifying against Denaro. When the plan went wrong, little Giuseppe was apparently strangled and then dissolved in acid to get rid of any evidence. Be right back, I'm just going to go and have a little cry. And he is very proud of himself. He apparently once boasted that I could fill a cemetery all by myself. Well, it was probably said more like, I could fill a cemetery all by myself. Whatever, bro. You're freaky. Mafia researchers have said that Despite being on the run and wanted by police, most mafia chiefs tend to stay within the area that they operate because of the strength of the roots that they have there and their continued ability to manage their pawns from inside the region. The last time Denaro was apparently seen was on holiday in Tuscany, before the previous Don, Salvatore Rina, was arrested in 1993. Damn, I hope it was a good holiday. So he moved from hideout to hideout, using his contacts to alert him if any planned raids, so that he could be one step ahead of the sbirri, as they call them, every single time. Yep, that means that he had intel from the inside of the police force. Why so surprised? This is southern Italy we're talking about. And he didn't live in a hole either. Witnesses have mentioned that he lived in quite high standards of luxury, even during his hiding, and even entertained loads of girlfriends within his bunkers. Jailbait! I guess it's not so easy to refuse a Rolex, baby. The mafia is famous for its strict code of conduct, and omertà is the mutual code of silence maintained by everyone on the inside. This withholding of information zips the lips of anyone captured by police and ensures their silence, even if it goes right against their own defence, or if they're actually innocent of the charge against them. I wouldn't hold up well as a hostage, let me tell you. One little shove and I'd be spilling beans like a Mexican mamacita. But Denaro only had one thing that he couldn't fully control: his health. Contrary to popular opinion, he is still only human, and the body does things we don't always want it to. This January, he'd been undergoing treatment at a private medical centre in Palermo, which allowed him to be finally arrested. Would have thought he could just buy himself a personal doctor, but I guess money and fear-mongering only go so far. He was found only a few kilometres from his hometown, would you believe? The apple never rots far from the tree, once Miss Trunchbull said. And it was quite a little swanky mansion, I hear. He was also wearing a €35,000 watch when he was arrested. What a surprise. I'd have my favourite Moschino sunglasses nearby if I was going downtown. Denaro was subsequently taken to an unknown location in a different region of Italy, Abruzzo, to be held. He was charged in absentia, because, he's dangerous, of up to 20 life prison terms for his part in the killings of multiple people throughout his life. I wonder how long it'll take him to get one of his buddies to fly him out of this one, back to his home in the land of lemons. Or maybe this story just got too hot to handle. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Do it, or I'll get Denaro after you when he gets out, if he gets out. Ciao!